On the 14th of June, 1947, a rancher by the name of William Mac Brazel, tasked with overseeing livestock at the Forest Ranch in Roswell, New Mexico, stumbled on something that would leave his name on everyone's lips for several years to come. That night, he was at the Forest Ranch inspecting his stock, along with his neighbor's son. Upon reaching the ranch, the duo saw a large amount of debris sprawled over a 200-yard area. Looking a little closer at the debris, they discovered a trench in the soil. They, however, ignored these strange events and went on to inspect stock as they initially intended. He headed home thereafter and informed his wife of the debris. The couple, alongside their 14-year-old daughter, Betty, returned to the ranch on the 4th of July, where they scavenged for useful materials from the debris and took them back home. Brazel decided to inform the local police about the discovery because there had been rumors about sightings of flying saucers that year, and he believed the debris was from the crash of such claimed flying objects. 3 days after taking the materials home, he took some of it to the local sheriff named George Wilcox. Wilcox, in turn, contacted the commanding officer of the Roswell Army Airfield, Colonel William Blanchard. Blanchard then reported the claims to his superior, General Roger Ramey. Acting on this report, Ramey ordered an intelligence officer, Major Jesse Marcel, to examine the crash site and recover materials for evaluation. Marcel took some materials back to the Roswell base, after which the Army sealed off the site until the wreckage was cleared. The next afternoon, the public information officer for the Roswell Airfield, Lieutenant Walter Haut, was directed by Colonel Blanchard to issue a press release reporting that a flying disc was found the previous week and its remains was in their possession. The newspaper headline read, "RAAF captures flying saucer on ranch in Roswell region." However, another press release was issued just hours after the initial one, claiming the first release was false and the object discovered was just a weather balloon. Attached to the publication was a picture of Marcel in Ramey's office with the crash materials that he had allegedly mistaken for a flying disc. On the 9th of July, another publication was released which read, "Harassed rancher who located the saucer, sorry he told about it." Brazel soon changed his story, saying that what he initially referred to as alien strips were tinfoil, rubber strips, thick paper, and sticks. These statements given by Ramey and Brazel brought the Roswell crash discussion to a close, until 1978, when a UFO researcher brought to light new information about the case. Stanton Friedman, a nuclear physicist and UFO researcher, interviewed Marcel, the intelligence officer who originally assessed the Roswell crash site. The comments given by the then-retired Marcel in this set of interviews were a direct contradiction to the second press release in 1947. He said, "It felt like you got nothing in your hands. It wasn't any thicker than the foil out of a pack of cigarettes. But the thing about it that got me is that you couldn't even bend it. You couldn't dent it. Even a sledgehammer would bounce off of it. I knew I had never seen anything like it." Marcel's job as intelligence officer made him familiar with all materials used in aircrafts or any other aerospace vessels. Yet the object at the crash site was completely foreign to him. Friedman's interviews with other people in the military and civilians revealed that there were many details of the crash hidden from the public. There were claims of alien bodies at the scene, a cosmic Watergate, and a spacecraft. Ultimately, Friedman concluded there was a major cover-up by the Army. With witness testimonies contradicting the Roswell Army Airfield's report, people have been torn between the weather balloon and the alien theory. As new evidences emerged, even a third conspiracy theory pointing fingers at the Soviet Union came to light. Who was being deceitful, the Army or the hundreds of witnesses? Let's dig into each of these theories in order to get a clearer view of each side. In 1994, the U.S. Air Force finally admitted to a cover-up in the Roswell crash from 1947, but it was just to foreground their weather balloon claims. They published a report titled The Roswell Report: Fact versus Fiction in the New Mexico Desert, which claimed the weather balloon was part of a top-secret military program called Project Mogul, Project Mogul was a theory spearheaded by Dr. Maurice Ewing of Columbia University, who claimed that airborne monitoring systems could detect sound waves from explosions from as far as 1,000 miles away. The Army launched the project by releasing 650 feet long weather balloons with microphones attached all over the US and Pacific to detect nuclear tests undertaken by the Soviets during the Cold War. According to the Army, one of these weather balloons was the object that crashed into the ranch in Roswell. They added that Marcel's initial report was merely an overreaction and the term flying saucer did not have a definite meaning, even though it was widely used that year. On the subject of the alien bodies that witnesses claimed to have seen, the Army stated that they tested the effects of parachute jumping on humans by dropping human-like dummies made of latex and plastic skin in New Mexico. The dummies could easily have been mistaken for human bodies. In 1997, the Army released another report that read, "The Roswell Report, Case Closed." This report concluded that the alien claim was based on misidentification of military projects. Supporting the alien cover-up claim, Charles Blitz and William Moore co-authored a book titled The Roswell Incident, in which the pair claimed to have interviewed over 90 witnesses to the incident. In the book, Brazel's son, Bill Brazel, Brazel's neighbor, Floyd Proctor, and Walt Whitman Jr., son of a reporter who had interviewed Brazel, had all mentioned that the original materials recovered from the crash site by Marcel was of unique strength, indestructible, and was nothing fragile like a weather balloon. Also, Brazel's neighbors claimed that shortly before he changed his statement about the aliens at the crash site, he purchased a brand new truck and started a new business in Alamogordo. These were luxuries he could not afford, except a huge sum of money suddenly fell into his lap. A payoff, perhaps? Witnesses kept hammering on the claim that the military desperately tried to cover up the events of the crash. They had gone as far as ransacking homes to confiscate materials from the crash site. Likewise, the public information officer, Walter Haut, had written a report to be opened upon his death where he indicated that the picture of Marcel taken in Ramey's office was intended to misinform the public, as the actual crash materials were submitted for weather balloon materials. The conspiracy theory naming the Soviet Union as the perpetrator of the Roswell crash emerged in 2011 in Annie Jacobson's book titled Area 51, An Uncensored History of America's Top Secret Military Base. The author claimed that the plan was designed by the Nazi concentration camp doctor, Josef Mengele. He advised the Soviet Union to doctor adolescent children to resemble aliens, then deploy them in aircrafts to the US in order to startle Americans and throw them off balance. The real plan was for the children to climb out of the aircrafts, looking like aliens from Mars, but the aircraft crashed in New Mexico. They say there are two sides to a coin, and the events of this crash is not an exception. While we have gone over the conspiracy theories, there are certain objections to these theories that should be noted. Major Marcel, the intelligence officer, was a graduate of the Air Force Training Command in radar technology and an expert in identifying aircraft and aerospace materials. His qualification and skill simply made it impossible for him to misidentify weather balloons. In an interview, he said, "They wanted some comments from me, but I wasn't at liberty to do that. So, all I could do is to keep my mouth shut." And General Ramey is the one who discussed, with the newsman, what it was and to forget about it. It is nothing more than a weather observation balloon. Of course, we both knew differently. This statement indicated that he never made a mistake, but was ordered to stay mute, while the Army claimed he made one. The military test, which involved releasing dummies in New Mexico, occurred in the mid-1950s, meaning the Roswell crash preceded it. It had nothing to do with the alien bodies witnesses claimed to have laid eyes on. Also, the dummies in question were about 6 feet tall, while witnesses claimed the alien bodies were about 3.5 to 4 feet tall. To clarify details of the Roswell crash, files pertaining to the events were requested from the Air Force Base, but to everyone's surprise, documents from January to October of 1947 had been destroyed. To top it all off, the orders behind the destruction of the files and the motive for the action were never revealed. Nothing should be destroyed except when it's no longer of use. But in this case, the documents contained extremely important information. This leaves us with no other explanation than an attempt at a cover-up. Considering the evidence, the weather balloon and alien argument seem more compelling, but we can't just rule out the USSR argument. You really can't put such a plot past the Soviet Union. Anything to set confusion in your enemy's camp, right? Was it a weather balloon from the Project Mogul, like the military claimed? An actual spacecraft conveying aliens? Or fake aliens sent by the USSR? Let us know what you think in the comments section. Thank you for watching, and we hope you enjoyed the video. Please don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to the channel.